Life is 10% what you experience and 90% how you responded to it. Wise words from Dorothy M. Neddermeyer. You're inside an educational Sunday edition of Jamaica Magazine. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Adrian Atkinson, your host for the next half hour. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
I had a plan for my life. I was going to be a doctor. I was going to be the first in my family to do great things. Then a friend of mine sold me into prostitution. He mashed up my life.
Stop human trafficking. It destroys lives. If you or anyone you know has been a victim of human trafficking, call 811 or 1-888-PROTECT. Be wise. Open your eyes. Spot them. Stop them. A message brought to you by the National Task Force Against Trafficking in Persons.
By addressing a few matters of current interest in the public domain, namely the illegal migration of our nationals. And I just want to say, with regards to reports which have been in the public domain on this regard, I want to reiterate that we are quite clear and confident that the majority of our travelers to these locations are lawful and traveling for legitimate purposes. The government of Jamaica, however, does continue to consult at varying different levels with our partners in Belize, Mexico, and Panama. We are very concerned that Jamaicans are taking decisions to travel in circumstances that are extremely risky, and in some cases taking children with them, exposing them to dangerous situations including kidnapping, trafficking, and even death. I know that some of you would have read in a particular publication that the government of Panama and the US are taking steps to tighten patrol and movement through a particular routing, which they have identified as a route for illegal migrants. And we are trying to be proactive and bring to the attention of Jamaicans that this is not a good decision to take. It is extremely risky for you personally, but it also affects the reputation of our passport, which we have been working hard at strengthening. We're increasing the security within the passport, embedded in the passport, to ensure that it cannot be replicated, that our border control procedures are stronger, our customs processes are stronger. All of these things are to seek greater facilitation of movement with a Jamaican passport. And actions and decisions like this, they really do fight against the efforts of the government, and they do affect the reputation of the passport and the immigration experience of our lawful travelers. While our numbers are relatively small, we do not want the immigration experience of our lawful travelers to get worse. We want our athletes, we want our entrepreneurs, we want our family members, we want just the ordinary Jamaican traveler seeking to exercise their right to travel to do so without difficulty, in comfort and with dignity. That according to PICA's latest statistics, between 2018 and the 31st of March this year, 143 Jamaicans were refused entry into Mexico. And in the case of Panama, for the same period, 2,167 Jamaicans were refused entry and 81 Jamaicans deported from Panama. So we want to just really remind Jamaicans to think long and hard before they take these decisions, not only for personal safety, but with a view to the bigger picture.
Do not use your cell phone while driving, please. That call or text can wait. Do you really have to stream that video while driving? It's not worth your life, nor that of other road users. Stay alert, stay off your phone, and arrive alive.
The dream of securing your own home may become much easier than previously anticipated, with new housing provisions set to come on stream July 1. So if you had penned becoming a homeowner as part of your New Year's resolution, here's some good news that may take you one step closer to achieving that.
The following is an excerpt from the 2023-2024 budget presentation by Prime Minister the Most Honourable Andrew Holness.
The National Housing Trust has referenced developments in the housing market to inform adjustments to loan limits and interest rate structures. This is done periodically to improve affordability for all contributors. In 2019, the NHT loan ceiling was increased from 5.5 million to 6.5 million, an 18.2% increase. Interest rates for all mortgages were reduced and the income bands were realigned. In keeping with the policy position that subsidies should be applied where they are most needed, that means they are income contingent, a new interest rate band will be introduced effective the 1st of July 2023 for persons earning over $100,000 per week at a 5% interest rate. So, Madam Speaker, we continue with persons earning minimum wage to $30,000 per week at 0%. For persons earning between $30,000 and $42,000 per week, 2%. And for persons earning above $42,000 per week to $100,000 per week, they will get 4%. Persons over $100,000 per week will now pay 5%. The Trust is mindful that housing construction costs, influenced in part by global supply chain issues and energy prices, have increased significantly over the past 5 years. Therefore, a review of the NHT's loan limit has been undertaken with the intent of improving the affordability to contributors. As a result, the loan limits will be increased to bring the maximum benefit in closer alignment with prevailing market conditions. Effective July 1, 2023, the general loan limit for a single applicant will be increased to $7.5 million, up from $6.5 million. It's a 15% increase. However, where a single contributor is buying a housing solution priced at $12 million or less, the contributor may access up to $8.5 million towards financing that unit. This is to incentivize housing developments in the affordable housing for low-income earners section of the market. This will also create more effective demand for housing solutions at the targeted price point. The NHT will continue to provide 100% financing for NHT scheme units, that is, houses built by the Trust, and that, of course, is subject to the availability of funding for the purpose. 2 persons applying jointly will be able to access funding of up to $15 million, and that is up from $13 million. In 2022, the NHT reintroduced its policy to allow up to 3 contributors to co-apply for a single NHT housing scheme unit, but that unit would have to be 2 bedrooms or larger to better improve affordability. A key provision of this policy is that proof must be established that the applicants are bona fide family members and have demonstrable kinship ties, for example, your wives or husbands, children, and siblings. In light of the proposed revised loan limits, the 3 co-applicants will be able to access funding of up to $21 million, up from $19 million. Madam Speaker, the limits will also be increased for home improvement loans, house lot loans, 10-plus loans for public sector workers, and 15-plus loans from $2.5 million to $3.5 million. Minimum wage earners contributing to the NHT for a minimum of 7 years will be eligible for an increased home grant of $3.5 million, up from $2.5 million.
As a nurse, my heart bleed for see the accident victims. Worse when blood and oxygen short. Ease the burden on our hospitals, no man. Please, me I beg you no. Drive safe on the road.
According to Google, defensive driving describes the practice of motorists who consciously reduce the dangers associated with driving. Are you one such driver? If not, I do hope you pay keen attention to these critical pieces of information, because the life you save could be your very own.
It looks like I'm all ready to go, but am I really? Yes, I'm doing all the right checks to make sure my vehicle is road ready. But what about everybody else? How do I get ready for them?
Driving to save lives, time and money in spite of the conditions around you and the actions of others. But in a nutshell, we want to ensure that we leave our destination and we reach home safely without creating any harmful situation for any other road users.
Using the techniques of defensive driving helps you to reduce the chance of other people's mistakes affecting you and your vehicle.
You must always be aware that though you might be a good defensive driver, the other road users a lot of times aren't. People will borrow your lane, people will overtake carelessly because they're tired of being in front of a vehicle that is slower than them or a truck.
The government is targeting behavioral change among drivers to reduce the country's vehicular collisions and fatalities, and defensive driving is one of the tools. Grinnell's driving school is known for championing safe driving. Director and instructor Seth Grinnell leads us through some useful defensive driving techniques. Let's learn.
The road code says that the person who arrives first should be allowed to go first, assuming that everyone now, of course, comes to a stop at the stop sign. We'll creep to our line of vision to see if it's safe to go. I'm going to make a right turn and then I proceed. Using the cover and scan technique, when approaching an intersection, we usually want to shadow our brake, but most times what we do, we toot our horn, we don't slow down because we believe the horn will stop the person's vehicle pressing their brake for them. That's not the technique we should use. So when the light turns to green, we wait at least 2 seconds. Then we scan our intersection, ensure no one is running their light, and then we proceed safely. All right, so we're on Hope Road, and this road slopes slightly downhill. So it's very easy for you to gather speed without even knowing. Now the speed limit is 50 kilometers per hour, but I can promise you, I am going 50 now, and you realize that people will be passing me with ease. Now, one of the biggest issues here is that people always crash into the wall right at waterfalls there. Now, there are adequate road signs. We can see the road signs, the backdrop, which speaks to caution or warning, and the left arrow bent like that means left bend. So caution, left bend. Now, if you do not slow down, there's even a recommended speed here, I promise you your vehicle will only try to go straight. You will not be able to maneuver the bend, and the wall shall meet you. So the road signs should be adhered to.
Eager to learn, we quizzed Seth some more about other defensive driving techniques and how to deal with the narrow roadways, especially in rural Jamaica.
Bumper-to-bumper collisions is one of the highest crashes that we have, especially in built-up areas. Within Kingston, we have a lot of built-up areas, people who are late, people who are impatient, and the closer you are to the vehicle in front of you, the more likely that if you are distracted, if you aren't really aware of the situation, you'll end up into the back of the vehicle. Even a sneeze Because when you sneeze, sometimes you jerk forward and before you know it, you're in someone's trunk. A lot of times what happens, you might be peacefully going about your way. Someone bad drives you, and then they give you some choice words, you know, the body language, and you believe that you have to meet them in kind. You just have to let it go. It doesn't positively impact your driving. A lot of times it leads to you taking unnecessary risks. So you want to take extra caution, use up your horn to alert the road users in front of you that you are coming and that they should hold their side of the road and so forth.
There are many ways to deal with the far too many lives being lost on our nation's roads. Government's enactment of the New Road Traffic Act is helping to actualize the transformation by issuing harsher penalties for road safety breaches. Defensive driving puts the driver in the seat to save lives. With more calculated efforts and responsible actions, it protects the most vulnerable road users and benefits all without a cost.
On our roads, remember, take time, be courteous, drive good, walk good. Don't drink alcohol and drive. Don't drive tired or sleepy. Don't tailgate and don't overtake unless it is safe to do so. And always drive at a speed which will allow you time to stop quickly and safely. Let's keep it safe on our roads.
We are shifting gears now to a topic that has impacted women worldwide. Studies have shown that as many as 1 in 5 women may have fibroids during their childbearing years. Watch this next feature to learn more.
In a highly desirable world, hinging on some utopic idea, women would probably have been able to bridge the gender wage gap in workplaces.
Maybe our external appearance wouldn't be so important, and perhaps some medical conditions wouldn't have been so prejudiced against us.
But life cannot just be layers of what we conjure in our imaginations. It isn't always a working woman's Shangri-La, or our wives, mothers, sisters, or aunts' health ambitions.
In fact, there are certain health issues that affect women exclusively. Issues such as menopause, postpartum depression, uterine fibroids, and miscarriage. But understanding women's health concerns is the first step towards taking control of our own well-being.
Uterine fibroids are benign tumors of the uterus. That's in medical terms. In layman terms, they are masses that grow on the uterus or on the womb of a woman, and they can grow to various sizes. You can have one, you can have multiple. And the most important thing patients tend to ask is, are these cancerous? So benign means it's not cancerous.
Medical experts will tell you that the root causes may not be so clear, but there are certain factors that are most likely to account for this issue impacting women.
We believe a lot of women who have it actually do because of genetics. So if your mother or your sister or you have a strong family history of uterine fibroids, it's quite likely that you're at risk of having uterine fibroids as well. We also believe that they tend to pop up more so when your hormones are very active. So that's why it presents in those patients in their reproductive age. So once you get to your 20s, 30s, 40s, that's when you would expect fibroids to start to show up. It may be occurring in response to your diet. So if you have a poor diet, high in red meat, highly processed foods, very little fruits and vegetables, we believe that that impacts on the presence of fibroids and definitely the growth of fibroids.
Meet Raquel Bailey, whose unfortunate journey with uterine fibroids lasted for almost 9 years.
I was around 27, touching 28, and I went for my regular female checkup.
When they did the ultrasound, they said everything was fine, but there was a point that he could not see beyond. So he decided to go do it vaginally. And that's when he found the fibroid on top of my uterus. I was saying to myself, it's hard. I'm not sure if I can get pregnant with it. I was worried about conception, of course, and I was worried about if it is cancerous or anything, because at that point I wasn't sure what fibroids was. I knew it ran in my family, but back then they didn't call it fibroids. My tummy began to grow, especially the top part, since it was resting on top. So my tummy began to protrude. And of course, when I had my period, the pain was severe. I had, to the point that I even had to lie on the floor to get a little bit of relief from it. Yeah, my clothes couldn't fit much because of the tummy hanging over. The symptoms occur dependent on the size of the fibroids, the location of the fibroids, and also dependent on what else is happening to the patient otherwise, right? So common symptoms related to size are, if the fibroids are very big, then the woman looks as if she looks pregnant. So she notices that her tummy is growing, the waist of the clothes start to fit her a bit differently. She might start to have what we call compressive symptoms. Based on the location of the uterus, it can press on the bladder, which is in the front, and that's where your urine is. So you might find that you're complaining of more frequent urination. You're going to the bathroom to pee all the time, right? Another thing is that your bowel is at the back, behind your uterus, so you may get constipated. Again, because your nerves come from behind, from the spine backwards, then you can also have compressive symptoms on nerves around there, and some patients come with back pain. Because it is close to where the blood vessels go down into our legs and the nerves go down into our legs, some people complain about pain radiating all the way down to their legs, as well as swelling. If the fibroids are on the inner side of the uterus or within the muscle of the uterus, that's where your period comes from now. So those patients tend to complain about heavy bleeding. Bleeding that is lasting more than a week, more than the average period. They're soaking through pads in an hour, in 2 hours, messing up themselves, right? That causes a lot of social embarrassment. Not only that, but if you're bleeding that heavily, then you start to get symptoms of anemia. So you start to feel weak, dizzy, you might actually faint. Another symptom that patients can present with is pain. So if the fibroids grow to a certain size, then they start to outgrow the blood supply that comes from outer to inner. And sometimes they can, what we call, degenerate, and that causes patients to have a lot of pain.
I got married, and my husband and I spoke, and I said to him, all right, I don't want to do the surgery, have any surgical procedure done on me, just in case that they found more and they had to take out the entire thing. So I wanted to try and conceive before doing the myomectomy. Then I got pregnant in February of 2021. That's when the fibroids became aggressive. It grew and it grew and it grew. I looked so much like I was full-term pregnancy when I was only 4 months pregnant. So it was very aggressive. I was really sick in the first part of the pregnancy, so much so that I was labeled a high-risk patient. After having my baby, I went to the doctor to do my regular checkup. And Dr. Madam was saying to us when we decided to take out the fibroids. So I told her we were waiting on her. She said, no, man, the decision is yours. So I said to her, all right, maybe we can do it now. I was there touching my tummy. Because when I went in, it was huge, huge. It was like a full baby. It was the size, the fibroid was the size of a basketball. It was, yeah, and there were 3 others, so it was 4 fibroids. And she took it out, and when she took it out, she said everything went well, and my uterus, it's healthy. That's the word she used. The best part of my journey having fibroids is hearing that there are treatment options available.
So fibroids can be treated in a number of different ways, but really and truly treatment should be aimed at the patient's symptoms as well as what their future fertility desires are. Now, if you are having bleeding problems and the size of the fibroid is not significant, then we can entertain giving you medical management to try and maintain the bleeding to a level that is acceptable. So sometimes that involves using tablets. There are some NSAIDs that we use for that. There are hormonal tablets that we can use. There's also the hormonal injection that we can use to help to reduce the amount of bleeding that you are having. If it is that you are having a problem with pain and size, then that's where surgery comes in. A lot of the patients ask, "Why, doc, I don't really want to do surgery. I'm not ready to do surgery." And they ask if there's anything that can be used to shrink the fibroids. There are medications out there that have been used to shrink fibroids, but they don't maintain the fibroid at that size for the rest of your life. And they can only be used for a short period. If they are not so large but they are plentiful and they're causing you significant symptoms like your blood count is really low, you're frequently missing work, it really interrupts with your daily living, then we would recommend doing surgery. And surgery involves either removing the fibroids only, or we can remove the uterus in total. Now that decision is a big decision. If you have finished having your children, you don't want to have any more kids, then clearly removing your uterus is okay.
What I learned coming out of this entire experience is that I should not be afraid of my doctor, all right, or doctors in general. The gynecologists, they are there to help you. Visit them, have an annual or your regular routine checkup. It is to ensure that you have a healthy life.
We're signing out for today, but not to worry. You can rewatch this offering or other content like this by visiting our website, jis.gov.jm. Do join us again tomorrow on the same station as we bring you another informative, educational, and entertaining package of Jamaica Magazine. On behalf of all of us here at the JIS, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Thank you so much for watching.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.